First you fail, try again. Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Let's see if this all works this time. Is it going to show us up? There it is, there we are. It is all working fine. Fail, try again. Anyway, good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. We all know that Dunfermline managed to make the Scottish Cup final in one of the biggest bore fests in Scottish Cup football history. Neil Lennon's been speaking, but the big news is, we've been told this evening, that Roberto Martinez is in town to take in the Celtic semi-final against St Mirren first of all. Before we talk about that, let's listen to Neil Lennon and see what he has to say about getting through to Scottish Cup final.
I'm really enjoying what we're doing, and this is sort of the icing on the cake, if you want to call it that. I haven't told them the bad news yet, Brownie. They're in tomorrow. Got a game Tuesday night.
I was going to ask that, yeah, Tuesday night. I mean, did they not get a few beers tonight?
They can have a couple maybe, but they're in tomorrow for recovery. Got a huge game on Tuesday, and we talk about this at the start of January, Stephen. When you're a big club, or when you want to be a big club, you got to be in the business end of the season and competitions, and that's all of a sudden they're believing it, they're grasping it, they're understanding it, and they're doing it.
Well, this is the thing now. I mean, you know, for a lot of teams that then reach the final and the league positions maybe safe or whatever, but you guys have got to be right on it from now until the end of the season. But watching your team and the performance levels that they reach here, the performance levels that they reach in the Hibs and the Aberdeen game, you have to be confident that this group of players can take you through these playoffs.
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because the one thing about this lot is they can fall off a cliff very quickly because they're young, they're inconsistent, but they're talented. And when they put it together, they're a match for anybody. You know, we'll look forward to the semi-final tomorrow and see what that brings. It's so exciting. And you know, you both, and you all involved with big clubs, and you know, at this stage of the season, just every game's a huge game, and you don't have to do much with them now, Steve. You know, rest, recover, play. And what this will do for them and what it'll do for the city, I'm lost for words, mate.
Now that's Neil Lennon talking about the fact that the place where 7 kings of Scotland are buried in Dunfermline Abbey, and it'll be massive for the town getting to the Scottish Cup final. Will Celtic be there? The big news that I've been told tonight is that he is in town, Roberto Martinez, and he's here to take in the game tomorrow. So is Roberto Martinez the next Celtic manager? Watch the betting odds change dramatically once he is spotted at Hampden tomorrow. I think that there's one way to... Sean Maloney used to do quite a lot of talking to the media when he first came in under Martin O'Neill, and the first time round he took a couple of press conferences. Since Martin came back the second time, Sean Maloney's been nowhere to be seen. Is that the fact because Sean Maloney knows that Roberto Martinez is the next manager in waiting? Is it to take the limelight and any pressure off of Sean Maloney because he's going to be the number 2 next season? And is it to kind of just keep us all guessing who the next Celtic manager will be? Next week will be the day where it's a massive week coming up for Celtic. Obviously, the fact that they have to win tomorrow against a St Mirren side who beat us in the last time at Hampden, but forget about that. And then at the end of the week, Celtic will be announcing, it's roughly the end of next week, if they do it the exact same date that they do it on a yearly basis, they will be announcing season ticket renewals. That then gives Celtic, they will give you until the end of May, till the deadline for season ticket renewals. Celtic fans will want to know before then. You know, once the season ends, if Celtic fans are still holding off, unsure whether to part with their hard-earned cash for a increased season ticket with an unknown manager in place and let's face it, an unknown direction for the club going forward, because when you look at it, Michael Nicholson isn't telling us anything, is he? He's not exactly selling the deal, is he? He's expecting us to blindly go in to buying season ticket next season. And Celtic fans won't do that. They will hold off. So Celtic will need to dangle a big carrot before the end of May. And that big carrot could be the carrot of Roberto Martinez as the next Celtic manager. He has been linked with the Celtic manager before, remember, at the same time as Brendan Rodgers was given the job the first time round after Ronnie Deila was Ronnie Deila decided that he's not really cut out for this job. The fans don't really like me, and I'm going to leave at the end of the season. And that was the moment that brought in Brendan Rodgers over and above Roberto Martinez at that time. So tell me what you think about it. John says Martinez will probably say half time, get me a taxi to the airport. Can't watch any more of this pish by past performances. I'd say that Maloney has been instructed by DD to sound out and persuade Martinez for the job. The Falkirk manager is a cheaper option, and if you want to achieve nothing in Europe, that would be the perfect way to go for Celtic. No disrespect to the man in question, but I don't see him as a manager that's going to take us to any potential level in European football. I'm just being honest there. If he was, if John McGlynn was a manager that could take teams forward in Europe, he would be at a better club than Falkirk. It's just saying. Don't know what everyone else is thinking, but personally, I had huge reservations about Martinez being the next manager. Hail Lenny, see you tomorrow in the final. One of the original people was Neil Lennon, but anyway, we'll move on. Martinez has the most experience to deal with the rebuild, more than the Motherwell manager Keane. And John McGlynn, could he take a rebuild of Celtic, the type of rebuild that's needed at Celtic, could he attract the type of player? I mean, don't you think if you were to go for John McGlynn, you would be sort of looking, do you know what would happen? If you got in John McGlynn, Celtic fans would go, well, that's the fucking cheapest option. Celtic are going cheap again. Celtic are not only going cheap, but they're going to go cheap on players. And, we'll be in the bargain basement. Maybe with bringing in Roberto Martinez, you're thinking, okay, it shows a bit of ambition. It shows that Celtic are serious about a rebuild. Roberto has a proven track record of staying in a job for a 4-year term or longer at various clubs. And maybe he is the man to take on the whole Celtic family, bring us together, unite us, and transform the football team from the top to the bottom. You never know. Not a chance, says Paul. I'd like Celtic to approach. That's not going to happen. Loved in the Faroe Islands. Martinez might look at it as a stepping stone back into the Premier League. Really? After being an international manager, I think that would kind of automatically qualify you for being in consideration for big jobs, taking a team to the World Cup. There's not many managers that do manage to take a team to a World Cup. He's got that on his CV, so I don't think that he would need to use Celtic as a stepping stone. He never needed to use it before. So McGlynn had a great season, but if that's if that's the level Celtic want to be the future will be orange. A lot worse than that. But anyway, that is the big news tonight. It's an interesting one when I got sent the information, and it is information that was sent because he was spotted in person, and then I think he was actually asked the question at the venue where he was at. That's all that I'll say. Just a journalist there for that message. It's nothing to do with what we're talking about, though. Anyway, that is the big news tonight. Obviously, Celtic play St Mirren tomorrow. Celtic have got a massive game on their hand. St Mirren will think that, this Celtic team aren't that great. When you look at the fact that Martin O'Neill has addressed several things over the last couple of weeks, he's even been addressing the fact that Callum McGregor, Saudi interest, will this be the last summer? You never know. This could be the swan song for Callum McGregor. And maybe Callum McGregor would like to go out in the high. Maybe Callum would like to go and join them. You know, maybe the new manager will say, nah, Cal, you're a bit old. But then again, so is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So who gets to make the decision on that? And if it is the case, because we know that Celtic have been looking at players and there has to be some communication with the next manager, because if there wasn't, Celtic are just going out and getting a caretaker manager. So maybe the dialogue has been there already with Roberto Martinez, and I'm sure he's well known to Dermot Desmond. He's probably got his phone number and such like, and maybe there has been dealings with Celtic in the background. It might all come out in the wash. Yeah, Martinez, even a great Everton manager, hadn't arguably his best spell. Imagine Banner. Yep, John. Just imagine if he got the job. It would be fantastic for that point. We've got this 3-1 tomorrow. Give me your scoreline predictions. Give me your scoreline predictions for tomorrow. Generally speaking, one's manager, manages countries is seen as who else has he been linked with? I have no idea who else Martinez has been linked with. I think that we've known for Celtic have got under Dermot Desmond. Let's look at the history of the decisions that's been made by Dermot Desmond over the last 20 years. Dermot Desmond made the decision to bring in Martin O'Neill. It was well known the year before, a year in advance, that Gordon Strachan was going to be the next manager. It was well spoken about. Everyone knew that Gordon Strachan was going to take over. Do you know? So it must have been spoken about at the highest levels, and then it's worked its way down and out into the public domain. That was all down to Dermot Desmond. Do you know? When Dermot Desmond brought in Brendan Rodgers, he kind of was in and about it there. When we look back to the Wilfred, I mean, when Brendan Rodgers left this time round, and even the whole debacle with when Ange Postecoglou came in, it was Ange got the phone call from Dermot Desmond first, not from anybody else on the board. He got the phone call. His agent said, "Look, Dermot Desmond's going to phone you," and he went, "Oh," and he's like, he basically, he's the biggest shareholder in Celtic. He wants to speak to you before anyone. So Dermot's pulling the strings after them in charge were left chasing a manager for 6 months, who then decided to say no to the club. So every time that this is good enough reason for Dermot Desmond to make massive change in the club, because every time they're given a chance, every time that they're given that little bit of power to go out and pick the right manager for the job, do their job correctly, they get it wrong. Just saying. Maybe this is Dermot going, do you know what? I've decided who the next manager is. I've spoke to him already, and the deal's done and dusted. We knew that young Sean, he's worked with Sean before. Get it sorted out in the back, and we'll get it announced the week after the season is done, to get the season ticket sales done and early, and so that we're not going into a mad summer. If he's obviously at the World Cup. Well, if he's at the game tomorrow, he'll be looking to say, well, these players are shite, these are shite. And it maybe is Celtic forward thinking for a change. Do you know, it maybe is the manager having thoughts in the background and having some kind of communication, and maybe for once the hierarchy at Celtic are doing their job correctly. Because I've said before, if Celtic hierarchy have not made contact with the next potential manager to have a look and ascertain if the playing staff are good enough in his eyes, can he transform the players that we currently have into superstars? And if he's going no, and we're getting linked with so many players, surely there has to be some input from the incoming manager, which does narrow it down to Martinez and Keane. But anyway, we'll wait and see, as they say. On that note, that's me done and dusted for this evening. I shall see you all tomorrow, and have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.